Hey guys, so today I want to talk about language learning again. I haven't made a video for a while, and I've been thinking I want to start doing these again and talking about my experiences and processes of making getting your language learning better and learning a language and all this stuff, and just like the journey of it all. Like I'm a little more of a realist when it comes to learning languages, but not in the sense of like the traditional grammar teaching. I don't believe really in learning grammar as much as living out the story of the language. And what do I mean by that? One thing I see that people do when they're first learning a language is, of course, like I said, the traditional way, grammar, learning through grammar. I think this is the most detrimental thing to do when you're learning a language, is just getting up a notebook, writing all these grammar rules down, writing all the conjugations down and whatnot, and forcing yourself to memorize all these things. The thing is, though, it's like playing with single blocks. Like it's like giving a kid like one Lego and being like, play with this. And it's like, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? It's like, here's one block of a Lego. What can I do with this? It's like, oh, I put it there. All right, ooh, fun. You know, I got one green block. You know, but that's the thing. Just like a language, like Legos aren't played like that. You have to have all different types of shapes and sizes and colors of Legos, right? To be able to actually have fun with it. But see, this is why I see learning through grammar as just wrong in general. Like, let's continue with the Lego BU. I forgot how to say that in English. Metaphor. There you go. So there's two ways you can kind of play with Legos, at least from my perspective. When I was playing with Legos and Bionicles, which is an extension of Lego, um, like you can either like create something through instruction. Like so, you get the set and it comes with different instructions for whatever you want to build, you know, and you go by the instructions and oh, there you go, you got a thing, you know, a creation, you know. Or you can do what me and my brother also like to do, is just take all of the sets and put them in one big old tub and just create monstrosities through that. Um, and then you can create monstrosities until you start to get a knack for it and actually make things that are fairly cool, you know? And that's the thing. That's what's fun. I mean, like, yeah, you can go by the instructions for the end of time, but is that going to really teach you how to use them in a creative and like spontaneous way? In which that's the whole thing about language learning. It's spontaneous. No one, unless you write things down, will like prepare everything they're going to say, you know? Like, we have to create our own expression within that language, but also that's compatible with the story that the language is teaching through its culture and its people and its the countries that speak it. Uh, the thing is, when I first learned Mandarin, the biggest obstruction in my mastering of the language was the thought process. Wasn't the characters, wasn't the tones, it was the thought process. And it's just so drastically different in a lot of places. Like, I can't even think of an example right now. Just like some of the simplest sentences sometimes. Like in Chinese, it's like if you want to say Like, it's like, I don't want to give it. I don't want to. I'm not going to give it to you or something. You can just say "bouquet." It's like when you're talking to if you're fighting with your sibling. You know, it's like you're fighting over, like, let's say I was using Bionicles. Okay, so we were fighting over a Bionicle, and it's like I want it. It's like you want it, and it's like person can say "gay," and then the person holding it and not letting go is like "bouquet, bouquet," and literally what it means is like give, no give, give, no give. It's like it sounds like pigeon to us, but the thing is, in Chinese, that's like the eloquent way of speaking. It's to simplify everything down. It's like no nonsense, just cutting all the grizzle away, you know, and just being left with that uh, lean meat almost. So like, in order to speak Chinese well, like, I had to learn that thought process and actually get into the culture too, because that's another thing. Like in Chinese culture, there's a lot of metaphors that allude to very agricultural things, like, you know, different types of animals, calling someone stupid, or yeah, just someone stupid, 猪, which is pig. But in English, calling someone a pig is completely different. You have the idea of a chauvinist pig, or like a pig as just a bigot, you know. But in Chinese culture, if you call someone a pig, you're usually calling them dumb, which I think is kind of weird because pigs are actually really smart. But and then there's just little things like that, and you just gotta learn little by little. It's not even like just read a book and then you know it kind of thing. There's nothing in the world that's like that. Pretty much, like, you just have to pave your own path through just coming in contact with the language in every way possible. It's not even just reading or listening or talking to people or writing. It's challenging yourself in all aspects of that culture and the language to get a more rounded view of what that language is. And I've seen that for, you know, all the Chinese languages I've learned. Even between Chinese languages, they're different. Like between Chibihua and Chibinese, I call it in English, and Mandarin. There's like already, even though their grammar and stuff are very close, it's like there's already a lot of words I have no idea how to translate between the two languages, even though they're both Chinese languages. Swedish is also Sweden is also just an amazing culture and a language, but like it's much closer to English than in thought process than um, Chinese and English. With Chinese, you really have to learn the history and the story of the language, and it's it's a daunting process, but like you just gotta let yourself almost, it's almost like going through puberty again. It's like, yeah, it and literally it can be just as painful, but in my view, like, you're going to suffer anyway. It's like whatever you do in life, you're going to suffer. It's like you want to um, be a hedon and just always go towards pleasure. Well, one day if you're just eating and drinking all these lavish things all day, it might come and bite you in the ass in the future, and then you get some sort of stomach disease or like cancer or something because you didn't take care of your body, you know? It's like you're going to suffer either way. So why not suffer in the way that's going to make you a better person, you know? And I think this is kind of what you got to do with language learning. You got to just learn the story through the pain and suffering of, you know, changing your views. Like, and the thing is, you can't really express your own thoughts unless you understand the thoughts of the people who really own that language in a sense, because they ever like they have their own way of expression. And it's like if it's just like with the pig thing, you know, it's like I call someone a pig in English is completely different than calling someone a pig in Chinese. I'd have to use a different type of I'd have to use a different type of metaphor to get that same feeling. And right off the top of my head, I'm not really sure how you'd say chauvinist pig in Chinese, you know. But anyway, like I'd have to think about it. When we're learning languages, we really need to think about the underlying story of it to get better, you know? Just and understand, be sympathetic to the speakers of the language you want to learn. Otherwise, you're just going to always sound like like someone that's not very educated in that language. So it's a journey, but there's a lot of pain in the journey, but it's completely worth it. If I wouldn't have learned Mandarin, I would have never met my wife, and if I never learned her local village's language, then I might not be as close to her and her family as I could have been. You know, now when I go back and they're all speaking in Chibinese, I understand, and I can chip in to the conversation. So, yeah, I implore everyone to figure out the story of the language you're learning, because it will pay dividends. All right, bye for now.